Hello and welcome to Looking for a Man in His 30s, a Criminal Minds podcast. I'm Emma.
And I'm Sara, and today we'll be discussing Season 1, Episode 17, A Real Rain, which premiered on March 22nd of 2006. Before we get into the episode, we would like to issue a content warning.
Due to the nature of this show, we will be discussing sensitive topics, which could include murder, violence, sexual assault, domestic abuse, animal abuse, elder abuse, alcohol, drugs, racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, ableism, and more. Please take this into account when deciding when, where, and if to listen. So, first off, Sarah, let's have a little chat. And
why not?
I think that I have been speaking for 30 minutes straight, not that this will make it into the original cut of the episode. So why don't you go ahead?
Thank you. Well, as Emma mentioned, we are recording this in December, the end of December to be in fact. So we just had Christmas, so Merry Christmas to belated. This is probably going to go out in like February, March, but
yeah, that's quite funny.
Merry
Christmas to February.
Yes.
Oh gosh, maybe they have a Christmas decoration up in the background.
And we're about a day or two away from New Year, so I'll see you next year. Well, you will be next year. So technically we're speaking from the past. Anyways. Just a little rant. Well, slight, tiny, not as big of a rant as Emma's just been on that you probably won't hear, but never mind. So
you'll hear it when he's dead.
Yeah.
When he's dead, I'm putting it on YouTube. No fucking breaks. No censorship. Everything.
Hell no.
That entire 30-minute rant.
Full rant. Yeah. So I have a small gripe. So a few weeks ago, mid-December, one of my cousins got married. And I had to find an outfit for a winter wedding. I had plenty of outfits for a summer wedding. None for a winter. So now there used to be quite a lot of plus-size clothing stores in my local area. However, over the years, they've closed suddenly one by one. So now my nearest one is about a 30-minute drive away. And I can't always get there, even though I do drive. But thank God for online shopping. You can order it, and sometimes if you pay a bit extra, you can get it delivered the day after. So, which is what I resorted to. But then the issue with online shopping is that you can't try it on before you buy it. So you got to buy it first, try it on, realise it does not fit. Then you have to send it back.
Do they charge you for returns?
Yeah, so I did this a couple of times. I'd say about 3 or 4. Either the dress didn't fit or the shoes didn't fit. And another thing with shoes, I'm a size 9 UK women's and an extremely wide foot.
Yes.
You know how hard it is to find those shoes?
I have size 8 feet with like they're pretty fucking wide, so yeah, I kind of do know.
It's a nightmare.
I will be honest, my cousin's wedding was in November and I was like, well, I had to buy a full-length dress anyway. I'm going to wear Converse. Or I'm going to wear, not Converse, I'm going to wear my Skechers. Yeah. And my mum was like, I can't have this argument again. I don't care. So I did end up wearing pumps, but because it had to be a full-length dress, I was just so pissed off to try and find one. Anyway, go ahead, Sarah.
So I needed flat shoes because I can't do heels. My ankles swell often and my balance is dodgy with flat shoes, so heels are no go. So, but 3 pairs I ordered, delivered, tried on, didn't fit, sent back. Anyway, I finally got a dress that fit and looked half decent. Put that with, I think I had footless tights. And the shoes I resorted to wearing were my barefoot black shoes.
Oh.
Because it's the only flat shoes that I owned that actually fit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So note to self, plan ahead. Maybe try and get the shoes months earlier.
Yeah, maybe.
Instead of last minute. I literally waited to about 2 weeks before the wedding and went, I need some shoes.
Oh, yeah. No, when I was buying for Ellie's wedding, I did buy the dress quite a few months in advance.
Yeah. I just never plan ahead. I just like wing it last minute.
It was because it's a winter wedding, and it was a formal wedding. I was like, well, all of my dresses are knee length. And so I said, look, here are my dresses. Are those okay? And she was like, we would prefer it if you did wear something formal, which is floor length. And I got there, and there were loads of people who weren't wearing floor length dresses. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
Anyway, my cousin's wedding was lovely, and I don't have any complaints about it, even though I was just a bit frustrated trying to find a dress.
Yeah.
Sarah obviously was as well.
Yeah.
But the wedding itself, lovely.
Yeah, very nice. Well, we only got invited to the evening, the evening do, as you say. Only because our family and her dad's family are huge.
Yeah.
And the venue was small, so they had limited guests during the day.
Yeah,
and
Sarah has like 700 cousins.
Slight exaggeration.
Basically, I think if you're in the Northwest, you've got a 1 in 3 chance of being related to Sarah.
Yeah.
Both of her sides of the family, mums and dads, have like many cousins.
Yeah.
I'll give you a teaser. Bomb Squad!
Ooh.
And I will do the rest of it when we come back. Okay, so Bomb Squad.
Yes, although I wanted to point one thing before you got into the Bomb Squad.
Okay, go on.
It was Emma's birthday the other day. Yay!
Yes.
How old do we know?
I'm 35.
Yay!
I know.
So for the next 8 months, we're only a year apart.
Yes, until you turn 37. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah.
Did you have a good birthday?
I did, yeah. Me and my parents went to play mini golf, and we had lunch. It was really nice. And on the Saturday, because my birthday fell in the week, on the Saturday I had my friends around, and we dressed up as Cluedo characters.
Nice.
And we solved a murder mystery.
Ooh.
I know.
That sounds awesome.
One of those cryptic killer things where it's just like, okay, solve the evidence, find out who killed this person. And every time we do it, we win. And this group of people have done it a lot of times. And we normally do it at this bar in our town, where if you solve it within 2 hours, you get half price food and drinks, and I have not lost once.
Oh yeah.
I know. Ooh. It's so excellent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Good. Yeah. So you've been teasing us, Bomb Squad.
Bomb Squad. So my uncle died last month. Yeah. Something that listeners do not know because they have not heard the first 30 minutes of this episode.
No.
So basically, we've been like clearing out his house, and I saw some things that kind of looked like they were old military stuff. Like, not from him perhaps, but like either from my granddad or things that Mike would have picked up when he was going round the, you know, because my dad says, oh yeah, when we were kids, we used to play in like the bombed out places that hadn't been rebuilt yet. And I was like, oh yes, what a normal childhood memory.
Yeah.
Playing in the wreckage of a bomb.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, it must just be like stuff he picked up or stuff that Granddad took home from the war. Anyway, I take pictures of it. I think this could go to the museum. And so I take pictures of it and say, hey, guess what? I've got this stuff for you. I get a reply almost immediately. And if you've ever tried to contact your local museum, you will know you do not get an immediate response.
No.
He said, please do not handle that anymore. Please do not bring it to the museum. Please call the police. I have a fear that that stuff may be live. And so I'm like, oh, I think he's just overreacting. Why on earth would Mike have unexploded things or things with TNT in it for 80 years that have moved around like 7 different houses with him?
Yeah.
So anyway, I ring the police. The police do not take this as chill as I do, by the way. They're like, are you at the property now? And I was like, no. And they were like, could you get there? We're just going to send out a squad car. And I was like, all right, guys, but I think you can wait till the morning.
Yeah.
Police officers go upstairs to the area where I've left all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so it's up there. I'm just going to be in the back room. I think I like broke up a load of boxes for recycling while I was meeting there because it was like 2 hours. So I just broke down all these boxes to go in the recycling. Oh my God. So anyway, the police officers come down. They say, we're not trained. We have to call the Royal Navy bomb squad. And I was like, right? I was like, how long is that going to be? And they were like, we don't know. So I've been there about maybe an hour and a half, maybe close to 2 hours by the point that I go out and I'm like, because the police were not waiting in the house. They were like, we're going to wait in the car. I was like, all right, cool. I go out to the squad car and I'm like, hi, do you know when they're coming yet? No. Can I give you the keys and you lock up when you're done? In fact, don't even bother locking up. Tell people if they want a house to rob, there's stuff there they can take. They can have it for free. It won't even be robbery because we need to get rid of this stuff.
Yeah.
They can take it down the stairs. As far as I'm concerned, it's theirs. Anyway, you will be amazed to learn, Sara, that the police were not okay with that. So the police were like, we would prefer it if someone stayed here. And I was like, I mean, I really would rather go home, but it does feel like they would not like that. And you know, obviously they can't kick in the door if there might be unexploded stuff inside.
Yeah.
So the Royal Navy bomb squad arrived maybe about 20 minutes later at this point.
Yeah.
And the police go upstairs, show them where it is, and they have to take 7 live rounds. So I think because I didn't go upstairs to look at what the hell it was, I was just like, right, I'm out of here. Closed the door after them. Didn't even bother turning off the lights. Just closed the door after them and went home. Like, staying there, it's freezing.
Yeah.
So then, Sara, oh my God. So then I'm like outside in my car, ready to go home, and I'm like, 7 live rounds that have somehow survived since the 40s.
Yeah.
This is 80 years since the end of World War II. This is the span of his entire life that he has kept this stuff that could have exploded at any point in any of the moves he made. Like, that man's not stayed in the same house. He's moved fucking countries. I don't even know if he took them with him when he went over to South Africa, or if he just, they were behind with the granddad, perhaps.
Yeah. Madness.
So anyway, we think it was mainly the bullets.
Yeah.
By the way, bullets that look like no bullets I've seen in a fucking cop show. There's definitely not like a revolver. These are like rifle bullets. They were literally probably bigger than the size of my index finger.
Oh, bloody hell.
Like, they were longer than that. And
Jesus.
I'm there like, great. And then I was like, oh, well, at least it was just bullets. I mean, how dangerous could those... Well, I think it was just bullets. I didn't even go back and check. Because they were obviously like, we've taken them away for destruction. And I was like, cool. Yeah. I don't care. Just shut the door. I'm going home.
Yeah. Madness.
So then, oh my God, Sarah. So if you're thinking, wow, well, at least it was only bullets, you think. Yeah. Bullets, as it turns out, not designed to immediately be explosive without doing anything to them, like putting them in a gun. But after 80 years, as it turns out, they get more unstable.
Oh.
And if you're thinking, well, I bet he kept this like in a garage or in a garden shed, so it wasn't like in the house, and it wasn't like near him. You know, these were things probably put on a box, on a shelf in the garage and never looked at. They were on the plant stand in his living room.
What the fuck?
All of them on a plant stand in his living room next to like where he's got like glass. You know when someone retires and you get like a mug for them, like proper crystal glass with your name engraved. Anyway, so he has those on display on the fucking plant stand with the live fucking bullets.
Jesus.
Next to them, bullets that I would say they probably don't make anymore. From the look of them, they looked pretty fucking old.
Yeah.
Bullets that get more and more unstable as time goes on.
Yeah.
That could have at any point, you know, should he have been dusting the glassware or anything?
Yeah.
At any point, fallen to the floor, boom. There goes, I guess, the entire housing block.
Yeah. Crazy guy.
So that's been a breakdown, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so shall we move on to the episode now? Now that I've told you about the bomb squad.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be back with the episode recap after this short break. Welcome back. We're now on to Sara with the episode recap. Wheels up?
Wheels up. So, the episode opens to a bird's eye view of Manhattan in New York City. It's stormy weather, wet and windy, which makes me feel right at home because it's the average weather in my hometown.
Yeah.
So, a yellow cab passes a building as the camera moves up from street level to a window one floor up. Here we see a half-naked man from the back, sat in a chair, rocking with his hands covering his ears. And you can hear voices saying abuse, abuse, abuse. The man then frantically rips pieces of foil and tape before securing the foil to the windows. He then gets dressed in dark clothing and heads outside. We next see the man outside in the rain and his fingers are fidgeting against his legs in like this motion.
Like this kind of people. For the people viewing it, that made sense.
Yeah. So he gets into a cab and the driver looks at him through the rearview mirror before trying to engage him in conversation, but the man remains silent throughout. There's ominous sounds as the camera focuses on the driver's ID badge, identifying him as Walter Durbin. The camera then flips between the man and the driver, building tension throughout this scene. And you know shit is about to go down as voices are heard whispering and the man becomes increasingly fidgety. The taxi comes to a halt near a railway bridge, and as the man exits the vehicle, you can hear voices saying murder and kill. The man stands outside the driver's door, giving major creepy vibes, and then, bam, he shoots the driver. The screen goes white following this, and then it transitions to Durbin's ID photo on a screen at the BAU headquarters. Hotch is talking about the victim, this 52-year-old Walter Durbin. His body was found in his cab in East Harlem. He'd been blindfolded and shot once in the chest. Hotch then changed the image on the screen to the crime scene photo of Durbin laying half out of his cab. But it turns out it wasn't the shot that killed him. He had a knife stabbed through his ear which penetrated his brain. The handle had been broken off the knife and the blade remained lodged in the ear. JJ mentions that it's the same signature as two other murders that happened recently. Rachel Holman, 24, was found 3 weeks ago in her apartment on the Lower East Side, and Kaveh Sarani, aged 30, was found 2 weeks later in his painting studio in Hell's Kitchen. Hotch mentions as the victimology and the crime scene locations were very different, that it's possible they're looking for someone who will hunt indiscriminately. Elle asks if the NYPD have any leads, but Hotch tells her that the guy is a ghost. And JJ chimes in that as he kills at night, there's been no witnesses either. Morgan points out that a killer is practically impossible to stop with no discernible victim patterns. Reed mentions the Zodiac killer who would often change his victims: young, old, men, women, white, black. Gideon replies, exactly, and he killed for 30 years without ever being caught. The camera then pans around the table from Gideon to Elle to Hotch and then back to Gideon. All three look visibly concerned. There's flash cuts of photos of the victims and their crime scenes before the screen fades to black and we get the opening credits. So the next scene opens on a view of the jet flying over Manhattan. This is when we get Gideon's opening bookend quote, which is, W.H. Auden said, "Murder is unique in that it abolishes the party it injures, so that society must take the place of the victim and, on his behalf, demand atonement or grant forgiveness." Inside the jet, Elle notes that this isn't how she planned to spend a few days home in New York. JJ dreams of shopping and dinner, while Reed is excited to see New York for the first time. Morgan's surprised that Reed's never visited before. And what made me laugh was Reed's comment to that. He said, well, we've never had an answer there. Like, that's the only reason why he goes anywhere.
So bad. Oh.
I know, bless him. And then Hotch leans over to Gideon and says, I thought you were going to talk to Reed about taking some vacation time. Gideon replies, what's vacation time? Which made me laugh because his face was like straight faced.
Yeah. These guys are exactly like in SVU, where their holiday hours are accruing and accruing and accruing. And eventually it's like, you had 74 days of holiday.
Yeah.
And me, no matter how important my job, I'd be like, yeah, see you in 2 months. Bye.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh, I get 6 weeks. Okay, I'll have 2 now. 2 in a few months and 2 in a few months after that. Bye.
Yeah. Hey guys, don't worry. Just don't text me anything about the case. But
yeah,
I'm back June 7th. Text me then. Bye.
Still in shock and somewhat confused, Morgan mentions to Reed that it's only a 1-hour flight between Quantico and New York City. JJ offers to show Reed around New York if they have the time. And still perplexed, Morgan points out to Reed that it's only a 3-hour train ride. Elle giggles at this comment.
Morgan is freaking obsessed with New York. It sounds like he's on the bloody tourism board.
Although it's a good point, it is not too far of a distance.
Yeah, I
A
know.
weekend away,
I
but
would
Reed's
like to
obviously more
point
focused on
out,
work.
Sarah, you live about the same amount of train ride away from London as Reed does from New York. And the first time you went to London, you were 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I had no reason to go there before that. So.
Oh, like Reed having no reason to go there because he didn't have an unsub there.
Hey, my mum and dad's fault. They never took me as a kid, so I blame them. Yeah, it's their fault. They'd rather go abroad because I don't know. Very special.
Loop-de-doo.
Yo. Right, where am I? Yeah. Hodge fills the team in on what they know so far, starting with the fact that blitz attackers are almost always male. The other team members chime in with their thoughts too. Morgan adds that since the unsub got picked up by a cabbie in the pouring rain, he's definitely not a brother. Elle laughs and I do also.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
Bless him.
Bless.
Bless him. Reed states that as the unsub kills in a major urban setting without detection, this is an indication that he's highly intelligent. Elle questions how intelligent can he really be, as blitz attackers are textbook disorganized killers. Hutch then mentions that the unsub brought along the murder kit, bringing into the question how disorganized could he actually be. Gideon suggests for the team to split up and investigate the crime scenes. Referring to the blindfold found on all the victims, Gideon says that it can mean one of two things. Morgan points out that one meaning is that the unsub is unsure of killing them and wants to avoid detection. As the cabbie couldn't have been blindfolded while driving, Gideon says that the second option seems most likely, and it suggests that the unsub feels remorse and doesn't want his victim to look at him as he kills them. As Gideon's talking, the camera transitions from a photo of the crime scene to the scene itself, talking to a cop and a detective. Looking around the area, Gideon focuses on a building nearby and asks what's in it. Detective Bennett said it's been vacant for a few months. Looking up towards the railway line, Reed points out that the train goes express after midnight, so it wouldn't stop in this area. Gideon seems sure that the location was scouted and picked out by the unsub beforehand, a place where nobody would be about to witness. Reed notes that the cabbie's last fare was logged on Church Street and asks what's around that area. Detective Bennett said that it's an entry point from Brooklyn, and there's a dive bar there where cabbies go for a coffee prior to them starting overnight shifts. Gideon's inspecting the inside of the cab and we can see blood spatter all over the driver's side. He points out that the unsub is definitely not disorganized. At Rachel Holman's apartment, CSI is still assessing the scene. Morgan finds a change of address card that's still blank, indicating that Rachel must have recently moved in and not had the chance to alter her mailing address. Elle reckons she must have not had the chance to get to know her neighbours either, so they weren't likely to check in on her. Morgan also finds a list of AA meetings in the area, and Elle points out that she was probably starting a new life. From the hallway, Hotch calls them both over. He tells them that the cops theorised that Rachel was home, the unsub broke in through the front window and surprised her. But then he says, but look, this is the gunshot to the chest. This is the knife to the head. As he's talking and explaining, he's pointing out different blood patterns on the floor. So Morgan says, so then after she was shot, she tried to run away from him toward the door. And then Elle points out that he was already in the apartment when she got home. Hodge explains that the hallway is the only room in the apartment with no windows. No one could ever see him, so he just waited patiently inside. Elle walks down the hallway thinking how Rachel would have entered and which way she would have gone. She points out where Rachel would be standing when the unsub shot her. Morgan then states she would have turned around heading back towards the door when she was stabbed. A cop asked why the unsub didn't just shoot her again instead of stabbing her through the ear. Elle explains that through the ear is the softest path to the brain. Morgan points out that snapping the handle is common in prison shankings.
I don't need to know any of that. I'm
No,
really
yeah.
upset that I've heard that now. The ear is the softest path to the brain? See, I would assume straight through the eye.
No, because then you see it coming.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's
If
right.
someone's about to put a knife in your ear, you already know it's coming.
Well, yeah, but you can't see it directly. It's like you can see like side on, kind of, but
Okay. Sarah and I have different opinions about what would happen if someone tried to stab us in the ear. Sarah would be like, "Ooh, doo, doo, doo," and I'd be like, oh my god, that guy is coming with a knife.
Back at the cab crime scene, Reed is referencing the toolbox killers who drove ice picks into their victims' heads and broke off the handles.
Which is a sad fact we know because we covered them in episode 1, Sarah.
We did. It seems forever ago.
If you haven't listened, I recommend going back. I
Yeah.
also recommend not having anything breakable within your immediate vicinity when you do.
Yeah. Because you will throw shit. Yes.
My mum.
Emma put the ceramic cup down. Handles, yes. He suggests that the unsub is a serial killer groupie. A random cop nearby says, so is this guy an ex-con or some nut job with an Amazon account? Gideon explains that this unsub presents a mixed profile. So it looks like they've got the work cut out for them this time.
Yeah, and I mean, coming at this from 2025 as opposed to 2006, how do you narrow down a nut job with an Amazon account?
Yeah, too many. Too many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easier to narrow down nut jobs.
Yeah, I know several.
I'm related to several.
Oh dear. Right. Back in Rachel's apartment, Elle is explaining to the cops that a profile is merely a starting point for narrowing down suspects. Morgan gives an example that if an unsub shoots his victims, he wants a quick and effective means to control the situation. Elle adds that it's possible that the unsub feels that he can't overpower his victims. He may have a physical problem or he's not that confident, maybe because he's even small. Back to Gideon and Reed. Gideon's now sat in the back of the cab and says they know the unsub has a high degree of organisation and coupled with the fact that he hunts at night suggests he has a steady job. At the PD bullpen, a cop at the back of the room says, so we're looking for a small, angry white guy with a day job. Another cop jokes, maybe he's Wilson. Everyone laughs. Poor Wilson.
Poor Wilson.
The answer? No, probably not. But Paul Wilson anyway. What do we do? Gideon says there's still a lot that they don't know just yet. But what they do know is that the attacks are too controlled. He says that these are absolutely executions. Reed explains that an unsub kills to satisfy an inner need, and until that need is perfectly lived out, they'll keep on killing. The inner need is usually based on ritual, because reality never lives up to fantasy, and this becomes an impossibility. JJ and Hutch enter and introduce themselves to Detective Bennett. JJ asks the detective to make sure everyone keeps crime scene details under wraps. Hutch says, if this guy's who we think he is, we're talking terror like New York hasn't seen since Son of Sam. Now, I hadn't heard this before, so I had to Google it a little bit. So it turns out Son of Sam is the nickname of a serial killer whose real name was David Berkowitz, who terrorized New Yorkers in the 70s, stabbing and shooting victims and mocking the police with letters promising further crimes.
So, a nice guy all round.
What a lovely guy.
I have something really funny to tell you. Whenever we cover David Berkowitz,
Yeah.
I will give you a teaser. Talking dog.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
You're
Macy
going
Talking
to
Dog
be thrilled.
only makes me think of the film Up.
No, it's nothing like that.
Seems creepy.
I'll tell you now because you'll forget by the time we do it.
Yeah.
But basically, I'm so sure this was Berkowitz anyway.
Yeah.
He told police that a talking dog had instructed him to commit the murders, and then on the Wikipedia page for this, it goes, later on, officers determined this to be false. Later on? How much investigation did you know about this talking dog you thought was instructing murders?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to rule that out? I'm
Seems
just
like a
saying,
waste of
maybe
resources.
police officer isn't the job for you?
Yeah. In the next scene, the camera focuses on a statue of Mary and Jesus and a stained glass window before panning down to see a woman lighting a candle in the church. As she turns around, she encounters the unsub. She offers to help him, but he ignores her, so she turns and leaves. The unsub then dips his fingers in the font and heads towards the altar, before veering left and entering the confession box. The priest turns to see a hooded figure staring at him through the hatch, but before he can react, the unsub shoots him and the screen goes black.
Yikes.
Yeah. The scene then opens on a shot of the church from the outside. The team is inside to investigate the latest murder. The priest had been found by the night janitor. Detective Bennett explains that the night janitor didn't see the unsub or the murder take place, but he did mention a parishioner who had been present beforehand. The camera then shows the woman who had been lighting the candle earlier, and she was being comforted by a nun. The priest's body is at the front of the church. Same method as the previous murders. Shot, blindfolded, and stabbed. Hutch mentions that the presentation is every bit as important as the kill. Morgan and Elle go to speak to the woman. She describes the man she saw. He had a hood on, he kept his head down. She does, however, allude that it was something about his behaviour that was unsettling to her. She said it almost felt like he couldn't hear me, like he was in his own world, you know. Gideon seemed surprised that she spoke to the unsub. She explained she only asked him if he was okay. She mentions that she couldn't stop watching his hands. She said it was like they were moving like he was playing a piano or fingering a rosary, maybe. Elle posits that the unsub may not be killing at random. Morgan suggests that whatever the victims have in common is the reason that they're being targeted. Inspecting the body, Reed really doesn't have any concept of personal space. He asks the CSI tech to remove something from the victim's ear. And he's like leaning over watching, and he grimaces as he sees it being removed. The woman talking to Morgan and Elle says that she thought the unsub was uncomfortable being in that parish. Gideon asks why, and the woman alludes to something that previously happened. Detective Bennett explains that the rector was indicted for paedophilia the previous year, so a lot of parishioners left. The woman adds that Father Bremen, the priest in question, was tried in court but was later found innocent. Reed returns from examining the body and tells the team that the knife used by the unsub is made of flint, a type of stone. He says, in Egyptian mythology, flint was the symbol for protection and retribution. They used to depict dangerous animals like scorpions and snakes being cut with flint knives in order to render them perilous. Gideon goes to inspect the body himself, putting on a rubber glove. He removes the blindfold and asks if anything looks strange. Hodge points out that the blood is only on the inside of the material, so it appears to have been placed on after the stabbing. Back at the BAU headquarters, the phone rings and Miss Penelope Garcia answers the phone with the phrase, "Font of all knowledge, check my flow." And I, for a second there, thought she was going to rap. But Slightly disappointed. Anyways, Hodge asked her to look into all the victims and see if any were ever charged with a crime. I'll do that after a search. So after a brief search, she finds that Kaveh Sarani was charged with vehicular manslaughter. He was tried and found not guilty in July of 2002. Rachel Holman was charged with cocaine possession in 2004, plus charges of administering a fatal dose of heroin to her boyfriend. She was found not guilty on these charges. Walter Durbin was charged with spousal battery, at which point Garcia says, bastard, which is the same reaction I had.
Exactly.
Yes. However, the charges dropped mid-trial 4 months ago. Hodge relays the info to the team, and Elle asks Detective Bennett if this had been a factor on her radar. Detective Bennett says that acquittals wouldn't have been, and asks why it was important. Gideon says, because we have a new profile.
Again, he's not told anyone else on the team. He's just like, we've got a new profile. And everyone else is like, sorry, I missed 5 seconds. Sorry, I went to the bathroom and I missed that last sentence. What? I don't bother telling anyone.
They're just so chill that you go with it. It's like, oh, wait, okay. Back at the PD bullpen, Gideon is laying out the new profile. So the killings aren't random. The unsub appears to be a vigilante. Victims are shot first to subdue them, then the flint knife provides an efficient kill and symbolic retribution. Victims are then blindfolded like the statue of Lady Justice, and the unsub displays a heightened poetic sense of right and wrong. Reed explains that serial vigilantes are extremely rare. He states that the exaggerated nature of the killings seems personal. He, or someone close to him, was likely the victim of a violent crime. Reed reckons that the first killing was against the original attacker, which then led to the unsub developing an overblown sense of justice in order to justify that killing. Referring to the symbolism of Lady Justice, Gideon reckons that the unsub works in or around the criminal justice system. Gideon says that the unsub will be a cog in the machine at his place of work, overworked, undervalued, and used to not being noticed.
Like every public servant ever.
Yeah, and it describes quite a few of my jobs too. Yeah. As Gideon talks, he follows imagination. The imagined unsub through the office and out of the building. As he looks at the unsub, other people begin to blur the unsub's face. So you get a sea of clones, pretty much. Bit creepy, that one.
Yeah.
Not as traumatizing as Shredded Reed, but...
Why have you brought this up? Why? Do you know what it is? It's like that Dove advert. You know when they're like, all people. And you know how it's like, it's got like all these people moving and then it's like a zoom out and it's someone's arm. And I'm just like,
yeah.
Hate that. Hate it.
Yeah.
With a passion.
I scrolled too far. Gideon says being faceless is his best defense against detection. He's everyone. Gideon instructs the cops to keep details quiet, but JJ informs him that it's too late. She shows him a newspaper with an article about the vigilante unsub on the front page. Detective Bennett asks how the press got the info. JJ says she doesn't know. Gideon fears that they might now be dealing with a vigilante folk hero like Bernhard Goetz. In the next scene, the team is sitting around a table at a Chinese restaurant. Hodge mentions that there's a big hole in the profile. Gideon left out the possibility that the unsub might be a cop. Hodge says that cops witness much injustice every day, so they could easily take matters into their own hands. Reed, struggling with his chopsticks, states that when someone like the victim is killed, police refer to the murder as a public service murder. Elle says, you know how many rapists I saw walk during my sex crime days? She says either the victims didn't want to press charges or juries concluded that the victim was asking for it. At this point, giving up with the chopsticks, Reed summons a waiter to ask for a fork. Morgan laughs. Reed then throws in a random fact about chopsticks, saying that Confucius equated knives with aggression. Morgan just looks at him and says, "You don't know how to use them, do you?" And like the most amazing quote, that literally one of the best quotes I think from Reed, is like trying to forage for dinner with a pair of number 2 pencils.
Love it.
Everyone laughed, and as did I, and
Yeah.
I'm sure Emma did as well. JJ offers to help him tying the chopsticks together with a rubber band trick. Need to try that myself because it looks pretty fun. Because
I think
I'm
I'm
also
alright with
useless.
chopsticks.
Huh?
I don't love using chopsticks, but I think I'm okay with them.
Yeah. I'm getting there, but still, it's the motion that I struggle with.
Yeah, maybe it's because I've got more flexible fingers than you.
Yeah.
You've got like hypermobility.
But have you seen like the kiddie version ones? They've got like little hoops on the chopsticks you can put your fingers through. That's so cute. Turning the conversation back to the unsub, Morgan points out that NYC cops have a lot of pressure on them. Gideon mentions that one of the first cases of criminal profiling happened when an NYC cop asked a criminal psychologist friend to help with the Mad Bomber case. Reed says that the Mad Bomber was a major inspiration for the Uni Bomber.
And I have mentioned it before when I was like, the unsub could have been based on this guy.
Yeah.
Didn't cover it in full, but again, who are these sane bombers?
Yeah.
You don't need to say Mad Bomber. I'm already thinking there's something wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never like, oh, yes, do you remember George? Oh, he used to set up all those bombs. How fun.
Crazy guy. Just me too. Gideon says that the psychologist, James Brussels, developed a profile so accurate he even predicted that the unsub would be wearing a buttoned double-breasted suit.
It was much easier because this was in the 1920s and everyone wore a buttoned double-breasted suit.
Yeah.
That's a lie. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know, but they were more fancily dressed than we are today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, if someone made that guess today, I'd be like, impeccable. But if someone made that decision, that comment in, like, 1934, I'd be like, so basically anyone that wasn't a day labourer.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah. Elle points out that even when the team isn't discussing a case, they're always talking about another profiler. Hotch jokingly changes the subject, asking Elle if she's seen anyone. Elle uncomfortably laughs and changes the subject again. She asks Gideon why he didn't tell the cops that the unsub might be one of their own. Gideon says that they need all the help they can get and they don't want to jeopardize that by accusing one of them.
Yeah, like, that's what they always are doing. Like, you never go, I think it's one of you.
Yeah.
Like, that's why you say, oh, hey, we're looking for a witness to this crime, not like we're looking for the person that did it.
Yeah.
Because no one thinks that someone they know is guilty of a heinous crime.
Yup. In the next scene, a bus pulls up and the unsub exits. Voices are heard saying murder and kill. At the restaurant, Gideon receives a phone call. Reed is still struggling with his chopsticks. Gideon then informs the team that the unsub just took out a cop killer. Everyone looks shocked and Gideon rubs his head in disbelief. At the PD bullpen, Detective Bennett informs the team that the victim is Sean Cooley, who killed 2 Port Authority cops the previous year, and got away with it because the only witness against him was shot 6 times outside of his apartment.
What a coincidence!
Yeah. Gideon suggests that Detective Bennett have her men recanvass, as he says people are more likely to talk in the day as they feel safer. JJ then informs the team that there's another story in the paper. And it's by the same reporter, Lance Wagner. It says, someday a real rain will come and wash all the scum off the streets. As he says this, it appears he's reading this from the article. Reed understands the reference and says that it's a quote from the movie Taxi Driver.
Sarah, as a former journalism student, would you like to comment on whether or not that is an appropriate thing for a journalist to write in a news report?
Definitely not.
Ah, yes, I would say so too.
Yeah.
First of all, it's bias and media coverage could lead to a mistrial.
Yes.
So, well fucking done on that, dipshit.
Yeah.
Also, that's kind of fucking inflammatory.
Yeah.
Why are you goading on a murderer?
Yeah.
Regardless of who he murders.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the cops should still be, like, investigating.
Yeah. He's just signing himself up for a lawsuit, though.
The lawsuit is honestly the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that he gets a murderer put out on the streets because he's like, oh, well, my inflammatory reporting actually jeopardized a criminal trial.
Yeah.
So they couldn't proceed. So I guess that guy's free.
Yeah.
And I guess it'll encourage more people who read my article.
Yes.
We doing, mate? What doing?
Yeah, so you can take your opinion pieces and stick them up your ass.
Yeah, or more. You can take your opinion pieces out of the fucking news section of the newspaper.
Yeah.
Op-eds need to be under a title saying opinion.
Yeah.
That's how the people in the Sun and the Daily Mail get away with writing whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
Because at least it's under opinion.
Yeah.
There are laws about what you can print as news.
Yes. And some people are stupid enough to take the news as fact. So maybe keep your opinions to yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. Reed questions why the unsub hasn't contacted the press yet. Hodge agrees. He says that the unsub is used as symbolism, the inflated sense of duty, so he should be seeking out a claim. Gideon suggests it's not a claim that he wants, he's on a mission. Hodge points out that the last two victims were higher profile cases. Reed states he's getting more confident. Gideon says he's growing into his role as the city's judge and executioner. JJ says that he shall check press archives for controversial acquittals to see if they can find any potential victims before the unsub does. Ella appears having found something from the tip hotline. She plays recordings of people praising the unsub. He's become somewhat of a hero. Reed says the same thing happened with the Goetz New York subway shooting in the early 80s. Gideon says, you weren't even born. Reed replies that he just reads a lot.
I want to know why that was such a controversial thing. How could you know about this thing that happened before you were born? Well, they taught me about it when I was, in FBI school. Like, imagine if you never were able to talk about anything that happened before you were born. Oh, well, we didn't learn about World War II in school because it happened before we were born. So basically, I've got 1990 to today.
Yeah. You don't know, you weren't there.
All right, so I guess we're running out of people who can talk about World War II. We've got like 7 left.
Yeah. God rest their souls. Anyway, on the streets, Morgan receives a phone call from Garcia. She tells him that she ran the names of all the victims, and the only thing linking them is they're all processed at the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse at 100 Center Street. Morgan asks if she knows how many cases run through there every year. She whittles off the exact number, which is 122,998. and says that at least they've eliminated 4 other boroughs. Morgan then relays all this info back to the team back at the bullpen. And when Hotch asks the exact same question that Morgan asked Garcia, Morgan then whittles off the exact number 2.
I love the fact that he doesn't have to tell anyone how he knew that. Everyone's just like, oh yeah, that seems like a thing Morgan would know offhand. How would anyone not know that off the top of their head?
Seems legit. Gideon suggests that there's someone with a history of erratic behaviour who worked in the building. At the courthouse, Hotch, Reed and Gideon ascend the steps. Hotch asks Gideon if he ever considered taking justice into his own hands. Gideon asks if he's referring to the boys in Iowa. Hotch says that he's just asking a question. Gideon says, I think if I ever let my mind go there, then the unsubs would be getting into my head instead of me getting into theirs. That wouldn't be a good idea now, would it? The camera then focuses on the statue of Lady Justice as the team enters the building.
I want to know what the fuck happened in Iowa.
Yes, well,
I don't think we've covered a case in Iowa yet.
Yeah, but you will find out in a couple of paragraphs.
Okay.
Yeah, so stay tuned. So there's an employee talking to Gideon who says that cops have already been down to ask her questions. Gideon tells her that he just wants to give her a description of someone to see if they sound familiar. The quiet body language gives the impression that they've seen too much. The woman seems very standoffish, completely unbothered and fed up, and she replies, "Working this building long enough, we all get that way." Hotch continues the description with another employee. They're small, meticulous, you don't notice him at first, but when you do, you realise he's heard everything around him. Reed mentions that the person may have had a brush with crime, talked about it a lot at first, but now he hasn't mentioned it in a while. Hotch says that the person will express support for the vigilante when the topic comes up, but he wouldn't necessarily bring it up in conversation himself. The employee says that it describes a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
In the next scene, Gideon is standing in the middle of a hall in the building, reading the newspaper. Reed approaches and asks what happened in Iowa. Gideon explains that it was one of the first cases that he and Hotch worked together. It was a small town, 2 boys were murdered, and with the same signature. Profile led them to the local 4-H leader. They went to interview him, but the guy was suicidal and had a shotgun. Gideon and Hotch had their guns drawn. The unsub aimed his gun at Hotch. Hotch talked him down and the guy surrendered. But at trial, the guy's wife alibis him for both murders and the jurors believed her. However, they got the unsub later when he murdered another young boy. Yeah.
Cool. Do you know what? I think we should lean more on not giving fake alibis. No matter how much you love someone.
Yes.
My parents always told me that if I broke the law, they would tell the police.
Yeah.
They wouldn't give me a fake alibi.
Hell no.
I don't see why these people are giving people false alibis.
Fucking mental. Excuse my language.
Oh, it's alright, Sarah. I've said much
Is
worse.
it okay? I'm just flabbergasted too. Hotch appears. He takes the newspaper from Gideon. You see the headline which reads Street Justice. Talking about the reporter, Reed says, his access is unbelievable. He's practically scooping us. JJ goes to speak to Lance Wagner, the reporter. She spots a file on his desk with a label saying Righteous Killings. He notices it and moves it away from her.
Just funny.
JJ asks him how he managed to get the info. And sometimes before even the cops do. Wagner says, a good crime reporter needs to be better than the police.
A good crime reporter needs to be impartial.
Yes.
Not jeopardize fucking trials.
Asshole.
Stupid. Go on.
Yes. JJ asks if he'll accept Gideon's invitation to assist the FBI. It appears Wagner already knows him. She tells JJ that Gideon once had a famous meltdown, but JJ rebuffs him, saying that since then he's had a whole string of successes since his return. In the next scene, Wagner is at the PD. Hotch asks him how he managed to put together the vigilante angle so quickly. Wagner says that he covered the original trials of all the victims. Gideon says he must have a good memory. A lot of killers can't remember details from their own crimes. Wagner replies, some cases just stick right in your brain. Hotch glows at him. Legend. Hotch's face, he's funny every time. He's just like...
Yeah. Essentially, I think there should be emojis where it's just Hotch. Like, just...
Yeah, just straight face.
He's good at, like facial expressions, like talking with the eyes. I think that Thomas Gibson is really good at that. What can be conveyed through like a small arch of the eyebrow.
Oh no, yeah. Is that oh shit?
Or like flaring his nostrils.
Although I've seen a meme and he's like different emotions.
Oh,
and he just watches same face all of them.
Yes.
Anyway, back to the episode recap. Hodge asks him to tell them about the victims. He says that Rachel was a waste case and the jury bought the addiction disease bullshit. Walter was an old guy, a thug who beat his wife, and it turns out the wife just refused to testify. And as for Cave, he drank and drove. Hodge asks Wagner his thought on the unsub. Wagner guesses he's a crime victim, probably something violent. Gideon asks if he thinks the guy is a hero. Wagner replies, well, you know, this city makes you swallow a lot of crap. It's hard not to feel for someone who won't take it anymore. Hotch shows him some crime scene photos, warns him that they're pretty grim. Wagner is unfazed. He picks up a photo of the knife lodged in one of the victim's ears. Gideon says they're stuck on whether it's merely symbolism or just an efficient way of killing them. Gideon questions why you would want to stab someone through the ear into their brain. Gideon and Hotch look at Wagner suspiciously. Wagner asks what's going on. Hotch tells him the theory is that the unsub was close to the justice system. Twigging what they're implying, he tells them that he knows they didn't want him there for his help. Gideon mentions that the profile suggests the unsub would contact the media, but he hasn't. Hotch adds that the unsub wouldn't need to contact them if he was already a member of the press himself. Wagner takes offense at being accused. He makes a smart mouth comment about them thinking everyone is a killer. Hotch tells him to watch his mouth. Gideon concludes that he's not the guy they're looking for. Wagner angrily gets up to leave, and Gideon goads him, saying, everything you feel is vicarious. You don't have it in you to act. This cycle's the last chance for you. You screwed up other jobs. You drank too much. You probably have a broken marriage or two. You're actually hoping he doesn't get caught for a while. That part of you knows that's twisted and pathetic, but hey, just reporting the news, right? And well done, Gideon. You pissed him off.
Excellent. Well,
and odds are you'll need him later, so you better bite your what's the phrase?
Eat your words.
Eat your word, bite your lip, and
yeah, I don't know. Either way, not in Gideon's nature. That man has never once held back from pissing someone off when he's been like, you know what? You're actually kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Always riling people up, Gideon.
Little fucker.
Jason Ryler Gideon.
Yeah. He'll never learn.
Oh my goodness. Sarah, we have not spoken. This is the worst time ever mid-episode to talk about it. But we have not spoken about the fact that since we last recorded, we found out Mandy Patinkin has a son called Gideon.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that.
Oh, my God. And if you're thinking, wow, was he born after the start of Criminal Minds? No,
Yeah.
born in the 80s. And
Yeah.
you're thinking, wow, that's a lovely tribute for Mandy Patinkin's only son or only child to be commemorated in a big piece of Patinkin's acting history. It's not his only son. And if you're thinking, wow, that other son must be called Jason, no.
No.
And it's like, I just have a question. Like, why did you only choose to commemorate the one son? Surely, if they were like, we're going to call him Gideon after your son, you could be like, oh, wow, that's a great last name. Can the first name be my other son?
Yeah.
Also, I apologise, I don't remember what the other son's name is because it's not Jason. This is your problem, Mandy Patinkin.
Yes.
I know you don't care, but like, imagine how the other son.
And then this is a bad time to mention. Is this a bad time to mention that I recently read somewhere that he regrets his time on Criminal Minds?
Oh no, I knew that. Yeah. To be fair, he was like, I didn't realise it would be so much violence towards women. And it's like, mate, if you're shocked by the amount of violence towards women in a TV show, you'll be absolutely shocked about the levels of violence against women in real life.
In the next scene, the unsub is stood near a fountain in the park. A man in a denim jacket and cargo pants appears to head towards him. The unsub panics and prepares to flee. The guy shouts, "Hey!" and attempts to apprehend him, but the unsub shoots him. Once the guy's on the ground, the unsub rolls him over and puts his ear to his chest. He looks around and stands up. Back at the PD bullpen, Detective Bennett tells Elle and Morgan that the reporter is not the vigilante. They already know, but Elle asks how the detective knows. Now, I was confused at this bit because I thought they were sharing info, but...
It might be one of those things where it's like, oh, hey, they might side with him if they know it's him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows? Anyway, Detective Bennett informs them that there's been another shooting in Central Park. Morgan asks about the rest of the unsub signature. She tells him that the officers heard the shot, but the unsub had disappeared by the time they got to the scene, as they were nearby. She informs him that the victim was an undercover cop. Just then, a hooded man appears looking bewildered and enters the bullpen saying, "I think you're looking for me." Everyone turns to look at him, and seeing his gun as he surrenders, they all draw their guns on him. Morgan forces him to put the gun down and drop to his knees. Cops then swoop in to apprehend him. The hooded guy says, "No, you don't understand. I did this all for you. We're in this together." In the next scene, the guy is in an interview room with Gideon. Elle says that the guy is Will Sykes, a security guard at a boutique in Soho. Morgan says that he was a mugging victim the previous year and had to spend 2 days in intensive care. Reed says he fits the profile. Elle asks how the interrogation is going. JJ said that Sykes confessed to all of the murders. Inside the interrogation room, Detective Bennett is also in there, asking Sykes what he was doing in the park. Sykes says it's full of animals, muggers, scum, drug dealers. I knew one of them would try to prey on me. Okay. Gideon rightly points out that it's not his usual method. He usually targets them, not let them target him. Sykes says, "I made that point, now I'm making this one." Gideon asks, "Which is it?" Sykes says, "If you hunt us on the street, you will die the way you lived." Detective Bennett asks him why he's turned himself in now. Sykes says he can't change the city without help. People need to be inspired, they need to see me, they need to hear my voice. Gideon asks him about the cab driver, Walter Durbin. Sykes says he was a thug, a wife beater. Gideon then asks him about the priest, to which Sykes says he preyed on young boys. Gideon says Is that why you stabbed him in the groin? Sykes replies, "It's what he deserved."
Ooh, I love
Well,
that.
Gideon purposely threw this question in to throw him off. And as that didn't happen, turns out this guy isn't the unsub either. But he has narcissistic delusions and falsely admitted to the murders.
Yeah.
As JJ says, he went into the park hoping that somebody would mess with him. Speaking to Detective Bennett as they enter the observation room, Gideon says he killed your undercover cop, but not the others. She asks where that leaves them. Reed says they know that the unsub has a heightened sense of right and wrong. He says if he knew that he inspired a would-be vigilante to murder an undercover cop, he might feel remorse. Gideon asks JJ if she thinks they could mend their relationship with Wagner, the reporter, and they need his help to draw the unsub out, which would have been easier if Gideon pissed him off beforehand. So good luck with that one. Yes. And we'll be right back with the rest of the episode recap shortly.
Welcome back to Looking for a Man in His 30s. Back to Sarah with the episode recap.
Thank you. So the next scene opens in a graveyard overlooking the funeral of the undercover cop. The team and the cops are watching the funeral on TV back at the PD bullpen. Reed reveals that Wagner had said earlier that morning that the cop's blood is all over the vigilante's hands. Hotch asks how JJ got him to cooperate. Gideon says the unsub might feel a need to be there, physically mourn for what he's caused. If the article lures him, Wagner gets to claim he caught a murderer. It's the ultimate scoop. Detective Bennett asks if her team will know how to spot the unsub. Gideon says he's already briefed her men that he'll be alone, out of place, not speaking to anyone else, not making eye contact. He says hopefully he'll panic and draw attention on himself. Listening to the bagpipes at the service, Detective Bennett says she can never get that sound out of her head. Probably been to too many cop funerals. It wakes her in the middle of the night, and she says if there was any justice, cop killers would have to hear it for an eternity. At this point, Hotch's phone rings. Morgan is relaying some intel. He's at the courthouse trying to get transcripts from the victims' original trials to see if there were any disturbances during proceedings. But there's no records available yet from Durbin's trial. The clerk told him that an average court reporter is 3 to 6 months behind in transcribing his notes. In the next scene, Hotch, Reed, and Gideon are walking down the street. Hotch tells Gideon that the unsub would have had to be in the courtroom to find out details of the crimes. He points out that court reporters take their work home often. Gideon recalls what Detective Bennett said about the bagpipes, suggesting that's why the unsub stabs the ears. Reed posits that killers tend to harm their victims in the way in which they've been harmed themselves. Hotch says a court reporter is by definition a faceless cog in the machine. He sits there day in, day out, transcribing testimony. Gideon questions what the unsub would do if the voices didn't stop once he left the courtroom. Reed mentions a witness from the church describing the unsub doing a piano-like motion, to which Hotch replies, or transcribing. Back to Garcia's office, she answers her phone with a holla. Hotch asks her for the name of the court stenographer in each of the victims' trials. Turns out that it was the same guy for each one, Marvin Doyle. Hotch asks her to cross-check him against crime records to see if he was ever a victim of a violent crime. And it turns out his parents were killed in an attempted robbery in 2004. Hotch asks if he's still working, to which Garcia confirms, saying he's in 100 Center Street in courtroom 103. Hotch replies, "We've got him." At the courthouse, the team enters courtroom 103 mid-case. Hotch asks the guard if the stenographer is Marvin Doyle, but the guard tells him that Doyle called in sick. Looking around, Hotch realizes that they'd been in the exact same courtroom the day before. Reed realizes Doyle must have seen them then and learn that they were onto him. Hotch tells the guard to relay to the judge that they'll need a warrant immediately. The next scene opens to the team arriving at Doyle's address, where they knock on before forcing entry. Doyle isn't home. Gideon spots the foil covering the windows and peels it back to discover that the room has been soundproofed also, to keep the voices out. Reed notices that people's faces have been scribbled out in the framed photos on the sideboard. Elle notes that the speakers have been ripped out of the TV and the radio. She also spots a life insurance check for $250,000 that had never been cashed, a payout following his parents' death. Gideon says that he won't accept blood money. Hotch finds a box full of flint knives. Now, I'm not exactly sure how many, but there's easily over 100 by the looks of it. Morgan summons everyone to show them Doyle's stenography machine. The keys are extremely worn out. Gideon says that it appears he was trying to transcribe the voices in his head, but couldn't keep up. Elle says that the transcriptions look like hieroglyphics. Reed explains that steno is a phonetic series of syllables. No court reporter takes notes in the same way as others, so only the reporter can translate their own notes. Gideon says he's getting paid overtime to study potential victims. Creepy. Hotch notes the unsub knows that they're onto him. Gideon points out that the next target is mentioned somewhere in the boxes of notes. The team begins searching. Morgan seems concerned with the amount of boxes and asks how they're going to narrow down the information. Gideon tells him to focus on the cases that ended with an acquittal. Hotch suggests that it had to be a capital case, as he says he's escalating. The more brutal, the better.
Oof.
Yeah.
Not great to hear.
No. Elle asks why they don't just go through the most recent cases. Reed suggests that due to Doyle's elaborate filing system, he obviously has OCD. He says people with the OCD often finish tasks and then go back to the beginning to start over. Elle finds a potential target, a liquor store owner who was shot with his own gun. The defendant didn't testify. Hotch tells them to stick to ones where the accused took the stand. Gideon says that all of Doyle's victims claim to be a type of victim themselves. 2 pleaded alcohol and drug dependency. 1 was a victim of hysteria. Hotch suggests looking for key phrases such as victim or mercy. Anything to signify that they thought the crime wasn't their fault. Reed finds one, Ted Elmore. He shot and killed both of his parents after claiming self-defense for years of physical abuse. Gideon says Doyle lost his own parents. Hearing someone get away with killing their own, that would haunt him. In the next scene, the unsub is sat in a car holding a mugshot of Ted Elmore, scoping him out on a busy street. The unsub then spots Ted and exits his vehicle. Back at the PD, Gideon calls a number associated with Ted, and his wife answers. She tells Gideon that he's not in, and Gideon introduces himself as an agent from the FBI. On the street, Ted is casually strolling down and enters a building. The unsub follows him. Ted has arrived home. His wife tells him that the FBI is on the phone. Before he can react, the unsub enters the apartment behind him and shoots him. Mrs. Elmore screams and Gideon panics. The team and a fuck ton of cops, excuse my phrase, descend on Ted's address. The unsub is still in the apartment holding the couple hostage. Gideon thinks they can reason with him. Hotch tells Gideon that he's joining him as they head inside. In the apartment, the unsub has a hold of Ted, aiming his gun at him. Mrs. Elmore is trying to reason with him to let Ted go. Doyle tells Ted, tell her how you lied. Tell her how you killed your parents and pretended they'd been hurting you. Obviously, severely in pain, Ted replies, they did hurt me. Just then, Gideon enters with his gun aimed at Doyle. He ushers Mrs. Elmore to safety, and Hotch appears in the room to back him up. Doyle threatens to kill Ted. Gideon tries to reason with him, saying, then you wouldn't get to hear the truth. If he admits the truth, the voices will stop, right? Doyle replies, they always lie. Outside the apartment building, Detective Bennett asks if the snipers have a clear shot. They don't. Hotch tries to reason with Doyle, persuades him to let them take Ted for interrogation, saying they're FBI so they'll get the truth out of him. Gideon bends down and plays along, telling Ted to tell the truth and antagonising him. Gideon, the man's been shot. Leave him alone. Or get him some help, goddammit. Stop antagonising.
Not what Gideon's about.
Yeah.
That's like asking a dog not to bark.
Yeah, true. Good point. But still, leave the victim alone, Gideon.
Let Gideon do what he likes.
No. You're being mean. I don't like it.
Oh, God. Yeah, okay, come on.
Excuse me. Doyle is adamant that the voices will go away if he kills Ted. Hotch questions whether the voices will come back or not. He says, Waverly, Iowa, 1999. A man kills 2 boys, only to walk away free and kill another one. Doyle tells him to stop. Gideon joins in. Haskins, Georgia, last year. 3 white guys kill a black teenager, just because. 4 witnesses see it. The jury finds them not guilty, just because. Hotch replies, the first 2 boys were 14 years old. The third was only 12. Hotch then reels off a list of names. Diallo, Blake, Simpson, T. Cullen Davis. Gideon says, you can't kill fast enough to keep up. Appearing delirious by this point, Doyle says, they killed my parents. I'm so tired. Gideon encourages him to give up the gun and he will get him to a place of rest. Detective Bennett asks if the snipers have a clear shot now. Just as Doyle appears to hand his gun over, he's shot. Gideon is taken aback. Mrs. Elmore screams. The camera moves up to Hotch, who still has his gun aimed in Doyle's direction. However, it's unclear who shot him. Was it the snipers? Was it Hotch? Who knows?
I think it was Hotch.
Possibly, because it was like on the front, but it was just with Detective Bennett asking the sniper soldier that shot and
Yeah.
confusing.
No, I understand.
I had no idea. Outside in the street, Teddy's wheeled out on a stretcher into a waiting ambulance, followed by the coroner wheeling out Doyle's body. The team looks back forlorn. Gideon gives his closing bookend quote. Gandhi said, better to be violent if there's violence in our hearts than to put on the cloak of non-violence to cover impotence. And for the first time in, well, up to now, there's a second quote, but this time it's from Hotch, who says, Gandhi also said, I object to violence because when it appears to do good, the good is only temporary. The evil it does is permanent. And then we get flash cuts of broadcast interviews with members of the public about Doyle, and most of them were in support of him.
Yeah.
And we get the end credits.
Well, thank you for that, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Oh, we'll be back with the episode discussion after this short break. And we're back to talk about the episode, interesting points, notable guest stars, and who is the baby girl or pretty boy of the episode.
Yes.
So, shall I take it away? Because you've been talking for quite a while.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so interesting points. The episode's opening quote is later reused in the Criminal Minds novel Jump Cut.
Oh.
And you're thinking, wait, there are Criminal Minds novels? Yes, there are.
Oh.
We might even review it if we have time. I'm not entirely sure how we would get it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that someone has them online.
Who knows?
But I'll try. So, the title of the episode, A Real Rain, is a reference to the 1976 vigilante film Taxi Driver. And I'll read out this quote in full, but
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to bleep me whenever I have to say a slur.
Yeah.
All the animals come out at night. Skunk pussies. That I'm including, because what the fuck does that even mean?
Fuck knows.
Dopers, junkies, sick, venal. Someday a real rain will come and wash all this scum off the streets.
Yeah.
Interesting note about Taxi Driver.
Mm.
That's the movie that I think made John Hinckley Jr. decide that he really liked 12-year-old Jodie Foster. Yeah, I know. You're already sickened. And then, to impress, again, 12-year-old Jodie Foster,
Yeah.
he decides to shoot the President of the United States. I don't know if Jodie Foster has ever given anyone the impression that she, I mean, she might have been about 16 by the time that this event happened. I don't think she was like, hey, you know what would really impress me? If you shot the president and then also very hugely disabled his press secretary.
Yeah.
So that's just an interesting thing. Not interesting, upsetting. Yeah, that's right. And we also have the double end quote, as Sarah picked up on during the episode recap. So we have Hodge and Gideon doing essentially a, like I suppose, talk and response thing, because it was both about Gandhi, and whether or not he thought violence was good.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, I think he didn't think it was good.
No.
I also put here that they reference killers in this episode that we've spoken about, like the toolbox killers, and then the mad bomber. And I've actually put, which again I ask, who are all these sane bombers? I've never ever watched the news and they've been like completely sane bomber.
Yeah.
No one's ever done that.
No.
And of course, the names that Hotch reels off, they relate to real life true crime cases, like Amadou Diallo, Robert Blake, O.J. Simpson, T. Cullen Davis. They were all suspects accused of crimes and later acquitted.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't defame someone once they're dead. So shall I just say outright?
Audio file lost.
I think most people did.
Well, I'm glad you agree, but also I'm going to check if you can legally say that now he's dead. I'm pretty sure you can, because you can't defame a dead person.
Well, you're already doing this, so you can check.
Yeah. Maybe. Who knows what I'll do?
Yes.
It's how spicy I'm feeling at the time.
Spicy.
The notable guest stars, we have reporter Lance Wagner.
Yeah.
He is played by, and I'm going to mess up the pronunciation of this name, I'm very sorry, Dennis Boutsikaris. I think that's it.
That's how I would have said it.
He was the first American to play Mozart in the Amadeus play on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a name that I'm also going to mess up, because it's maybe Thai. I'm not entirely sure.
I'm not too sure.
I would probably say only.
Or
Only.
Only, probably.
I probably should have looked this up. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
He only had a cameo role in this episode, but he's actually written a number of episodes for Criminal Minds between seasons 2 and seasons 5. So we'll try and point it out when those ones do happen.
Yeah.
And now, Sarah.
So our unsub, Marvin Doyle, was played by Ethan Phillips. Now, I didn't really notice at first looking at his face, only because from what I know him from, he's in like makeup, like heavy makeup.
Oh yeah.
So I only found this when I was researching. But Ethan Phillips is a well-known actor from the Star Trek universe. He first played a Ferengi character, Dr. Ferrick, in an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, before becoming a main character on Star Trek Voyager as the Talaxian chef and morale officer, Neelix, a valuable member of the stranded Starfleet crew. So I grew up watching Star Trek with my mum because she's a huge fan. And I've watched many episodes of The Next Generation and Voyager. Not so much the others, because the others didn't really interest me, but them 2 seasons, absolutely perfect. But yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, I think even if I had spotted Star Trek, I would have been like, Sarah can handle this.
She can do it.
Sarah is going to know this.
Yes.
Okay, so now, Sarah, let's move on to our MVP, our baby girl or pretty boy of the episode.
Yes.
Now, neither of us have actually written anything there, so shall we just give it to Elle just for the laugh?
Yeah, because it stumped me, this one.
Okay, so I'm gonna just look back and see if there's anything that jumps out at me. I mean, this is the one time that I would probably say maybe Gideon, because his he's admits that, well, I think it's because he speaks about the killer in Iowa. And he admits that while he thinks that he'd like to have taken vengeance, it really wouldn't have been the best thing to do anyway.
Yeah. And thinking about it, he did command quite a lot of this episode.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, yeah,
I mean, he does take up quite a lot of time in most episodes, jumping into the profile without discussing it with the rest of the team, riling up anyone with a gun.
Yeah. But a lot of like major points he was involved in.
Yeah, he was.
So I think we'll have to give it to Gideon.
Yeah. Oh, I think this is probably the first time we've ever given it to Gideon.
Yay.
Oh, well, congratulations, Jason Gideon, for being our pretty boy of the episode.
Yay. Right, so we'll be right back with a true crime recap after this short break.
Woo!
Welcome back for our true crime recap. Emma, it's time to deliver the profile.
Ooh, thank you, Sara.
You're welcome.
So, Criminal Minds Wiki suggested 2 possible choices for who the unsub was based on.
Yeah.
Bernhard Goetz, who we did see mentioned during the episode.
Yeah.
And Herbert Mullin. Now, initially, I was leaning towards Mullin because both of them had schizophrenia, and some of their victims were actually similar as well, like a priest and I think a taxi driver as well.
Yeah.
But Mullin wasn't killing as a vigilante. Instead, his schizophrenia led him to believe that the murders would prevent earthquakes.
Yeah.
And I felt that the vigilante bit was the more important part of this episode rather than the schizophrenia. So, we're going to talk about Bernhard Goetz and the 1984 New York subway shooting, which, as a reminder, Reed is supposedly not old enough to remember because he wasn't even born yet, which is weird because, Sarah, would you like to do the maths? 2005, he turned 24.
Right.
I
think
that
means 1980.
1981 perhaps.
Yeah.
He was 24, so...
Yeah, 81, yeah.
So, 1981, is that before or after 1984?
It'd be fur.
Oh, so he was alive, Gideon.
Well, technically, we're still a toddler, so.
Yeah, I know, but if your whole point is you weren't even born yet,
Yeah.
at least know when he was born or when the
Yeah.
case happened.
I mean, before I was born, and you. So.
Yes. So we don't know anything about it, and that is the end of the episode. Goodbye. See you next
See you
week.
later. Bye.
Well, actually, just like Reed, I read about it. I also watched some videos, and oh my goodness, when I was researching it, I messaged Sara and I was like, what did I actually say to you? I'm gonna get up our conversation
I cannot remember.
because it was literally so stupid. There's the bit about us getting 24 cents.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Here it is. Wait. It's just this crazy morning. Oh, sorry, that's okay. Oh my god, do you want a teaser for tomorrow's true crime?
Yeah.
Failed Republican mayoral candidate wearing a beret and calling himself a public safety activist. Christmas, and of course 1980s racism.
Yes. And what was my reply? Because I cannot remember.
Well, damn. And then I sent you a photo of two of these two clips from the video as I was watching it.
Yeah.
And one is this guy wearing a beret, and it appears that it is, I'll tell you a bit later, but it does say Curtis Silva, Guardian Angel. That is how it says it. And with no prior context, you're like, what? This is like, because this is filmed at near enough the same time. So this is the 1980s, and it looks like a news report, the clip that they've taken it from. And you're like, why is the news saying that someone is a guardian angel? What's happening? And also, this guy went around New York in the 80s wearing a beret.
Yeah.
That's one way. There's still the Cold War going on. That is one way to look like you are that you are planning to lead a coup against the United States.
Yeah.
Or something to that effect. Anyway, that was wild. And then I sent you a picture of, it's one of the victims, it's their brother, but he is wearing the strangest outfit ever. So I will try and put this on the Instagram. But he is wearing a white t-shirt, which, I mean, it looks like it might just have a drawing on there that you can't see.
Yeah.
That's fine. He's then wearing, for some reason, over a t-shirt, a buttoned-up waistcoat.
Right.
Not the strangest thing. He's then wearing a tan leather coat, which doesn't go with the waistcoat.
No.
But that is far from where it ends, Sarah. He's then wearing what looks like maybe a trilby hat, like a black trilby hat. Again, doesn't go with the leather jacket, doesn't go with the t-shirt, whatever. The strangest thing is that he's wearing a green ski mask, so you can only see his eyes and his mouth. And it's just quite a bizarre thing to see juxtaposed against the background, which is him sitting on a dining chair in front of, I assume, his mother's wedding china.
Yeah.
A very strange outfit.
Very strange.
Oh.
Yeah.
And to that, you wrote, what the fuck? And absolutely nothing else.
Yeah.
So, Sarah.
Yes.
Picture the scene. It's December 22nd, and you're one of the thousands of people traveling via subway to every toy store in Manhattan to get your hands on Cabbage Patch Kid.
Yeah.
You're counting down the days until 1985 solely so that the most insufferable man in your office will stop literally comparing this year to the George Orwell novel.
Yes.
You're tired, you're cold, you're not really feeling in the Christmas spirit, even though your friend said to you, hey, do you want to go see the displays in the Macy's window? They're so nice and Christmassy. You've been like, no, I'm honestly tired, I'm stressed. I don't know why I have to get this ugly toy for my niece.
Yeah.
Then, suddenly, a tall white man pulls out a gun and shoots 4 black teenagers who were vaguely near him.
What the fuck?
Before the man flees at the next subway station, he looks down at one of the teenagers on the floor and says, you don't look so bad, how about another, before shooting him again.
What the fuck?
Yikes. So let's back up a bit.
Uh-huh.
Normally, we go into the early life of the criminals we feature, talking about the warning signs, what may have happened to explain their crimes.
Yeah.
There's not an awful lot I could find about Goetz's early life that in any way explains this.
Ow.
He was born in Queens, the youngest of 4 to German immigrants, particularly a Jewish mother who fled the Nazis.
Well, damn.
He grew up in upstate New York. His parents had a dairy farm and a bookbinding business. He went to boarding school in Switzerland, which that is a big leap from being born in Queens and then living on a dairy farm.
Yeah.
And then he returned to the US to study electrical engineering and nuclear engineering at New York University. He moved to Florida with his family, but moved back to New York after a divorce and started an electronics business from his apartment. No major red flags in anything I've seen. No horrific abuse.
No.
No was torturing animals and setting fires. So far, so not like a criminal.
Yeah, I'm pretty average girl.
Yeah. In 1981, Goetz was the victim of a violent mugging on or near the subway. He ran out of the subway station and towards an electronics store that he liked to frequent for help. The store clerk recounted at least some of this to police. Police arrived and Goetz identified his mugger, but police only talked to the mugger for about 2 hours while holding Goetz to talk to them for about 6. Not great. He felt the police weren't doing their job, and arguably, yeah, he's right. He can identify this. Not going into too much detail, but it was quite a violent mugging. Like, it wasn't just like, give me your money. It was an assault. So Goetz bought a gun illegally in Florida and began carrying it around in New York, even though he lacked the proper licenses and permits. So, going well.
Yeah.
This is set against a backdrop of rising crime in New York City throughout the 70s and 80s, leading the country to be seen as a lightning rod for crime in America, leading to presidential wars on crime, drugs, and terror over the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And as you know, December 22nd, 1984. 4 teenagers, Barry Allen, Troy Canty, Daryl Cabey, and James Ramasaw, boarded the 2 train, and they admitted after the fact they were planning to steal money from arcade machines in Manhattan, according to Canty. So they had screwdrivers on them. The idea is that you go to arcade machines, you unscrew the bit where the money drops into, and you just take the money. Not angels.
No.
Goetz boarded the train at 14th Street, and there are about 15 other people in the train car. So the subway car's got about 20 people in it in total.
Yeah.
What happens next is unclear. We know that Canty talks to Goetz, moves over to him, and asks for $5. Goetz says all four of them came up to him with a certain look in their eyes, as if refusal would result in violence. Canty says he went over alone and asked politely, like he was panhandling. The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. I will say that no matter which of them it was, there was probably no need to shoot them all.
No, a bit of an over-exaggeration.
Goetz takes out his gun and shoots each of the four once. He then bent down to KB, who was on the floor, which, remember, is not apparently the guy who spoke to him.
Yeah.
And said, "You don't look so bad, here's another," and shot him again. KB's spine was severed, and it caused brain damage and partial paralysis.
Oh, dear.
And look, the thing that really gets me is this is over $5.
Yeah.
Even if you think someone might be physically threatening your life, it's $5.
Yeah.
Either say, "No, I don't have any money," or hand them $5.
Yeah.
Like, hand them your wallet. That's still the preferable scenario.
Yeah. No, just get you gun out
Shooting
and
four
shoot.
teenagers.
Ridiculous.
And, because, reminder, there are 15 other people on this train car.
Yeah.
And eyewitness accounts, notoriously sketchy.
Yeah.
But I think 15 people might have noticed if someone in the train car was receiving a violent threat. You know? This is the 80s. They don't have headphones in. They're not staring at a screen.
No.
They are hearing what's happening. So now the conductor of the train enters the car because obviously someone heard gunshots. And I think the people in the other train cars stopped as well. And so they booked it to another train car.
Yeah.
The conductor enters the car. You know, he's been walking down. He's obviously either someone has told him someone's shooting a gun back there.
Yeah.
Or he's heard the shots himself.
Yeah.
He goes into the car. He checks over the passengers, 15 other people that are there, and asks Goetz to hand over the gun. And Goetz refuses and gets off at the next stop.
Convenient.
So, he then took a cab to his home, rented a car, drove to Vermont, burned the distinctive blue jacket he was wearing, disassembled his gun, scattered the pieces of the gun in the woods in Vermont, and kept running for days, staying in hotels across New England.
Yeah.
Hey, does that sound like someone who has a real case for self-defense?
No.
Because if I had genuinely been in fear of my life and shot someone, when the conductor came in and said, "Can I have the gun?" I would be like, "Yes, you can have the gun. I'm going to sit over here because I'd like to tell the police about how my life was threatened."
Yeah.
I wouldn't get off at the next stop and run.
No.
So the police open a tip line, but they get a lot of messages praising Goetz, just like you see at the end of the episode. And this goes on for a few days until December 26th, when finally an anonymous caller reports that Goetz fits the description given, has a gun, and was mugged previously. On December the 29th, Goetz calls his neighbour, who tells him that police are looking for him, and he describes feeling like he's in a combat situation. Right. Now, given that I've told you all that, he rented a car, drove to Vermont, got evidence, got rid of the gun, and kept moving around New York. Kept moving around New England.
Yeah.
Any of this sounding to you like self-defense?
No.
Good. So then he returns to New York the next day after the neighbour has called him and said the police are looking for you. And if you're about to say, wow, is he turning himself in like you probably would if you were claiming self-defense? No. He picks up some clothes, switches rental cars, and drives back to New Hampshire to turn himself in at the Concord police station on New Year's Eve. Those police aren't looking for you.
No.
The police in New York are, and you could have turned yourself in there. In fact, you could have not gone on the run at all, because that really kind of upsets the idea that you were actually going for self-defense.
Yeah.
Now, this is when the story gets, insufferable. Where's my cards? Come here, beauties.
Insufferable. Yes.
So he's read his rights and opts to talk to the police about a lawyer, presumably because he's expecting a fucking parade. This results in 2 interviews by Concord and New York police, which were recorded and played at trial, which is why you know how he acted and what he said.
Yeah.
He was charged with attempted murder, assault, reckless endangerment, and several firearms offences. Having in the gun illegally without the permits, carrying it. And I am going to give you a direct fucking quote here. Goetz said, "My intention was to murder them, to hurt them, to make them suffer as much as possible. If I had more bullets, I would have shot them again and again. My problem was I ran out of bullets. I was going to gouge out the guy's eyes with my keys afterwards." Now, Goetz says that the killings weren't premeditated. Okay, you can't predict who's going to be on the subway car with you. You weren't carrying the gun.
Yeah.
He says it wasn't racial, I'll give him that it wasn't premeditated thing, even though if you're carrying a gun, surely it's just because you're going to use it.
Yeah.
He says it wasn't racially motivated, and I'm going to give that a 0 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm calling bullshit on that one.
He says that merely threatening the teens with the gun wouldn't have stopped the mugging, and his life could have been in danger. To which I ask, why didn't you at least try that?
Yeah.
Why didn't you try pulling out a gun, pointing it at them, and going, "Come any closer, I'll shoot you"?
Yeah, instead
of
bang.
At least if you had said that, then the other people in the car would have been like, he did threaten them, and then they still got closer. And then his self-defense would look a little more
believable. Yeah.
And to really hammer this home for you, he shot a 19-year-old who was already lying on the floor, shot. How is someone already shot on the floor a threat?
Yeah.
He refused to hand the gun over to the conductor. He went on the run before giving an interview where he basically tells cops he was acting as a vigilante. For these reasons, I'm less inclined to believe him when he says it was self-defense and not racially motivated.
Yeah. I agree.
As a reminder, according to both Goetz and Canty, this was over $5.
Yeah.
You shot 4 teenagers, causing lifelong damage over $5.
Yeah.
However, the public feels that that crime rates are high. The city has gone to the dogs, and this white guy who was the victim of a previous violent mugging claims these 4 black teenagers were going to mug him, so he shot them. And public opinion is mixed. Some New Yorkers feel he's a hero fighting back against violent criminals, especially after early false reports that they brandished sharpened screwdrivers. As a reminder, they were using these screwdrivers to break into an arcade machine.
Yeah.
You can't use them to do that if they've been sharpened to a fucking point.
Yeah.
That's not how screwdrivers work.
No.
And also, even according to Goetz, and all the other witnesses on the train and Goetz, the teenagers never took the screwdrivers out of their pockets. How does a screwdriver in a pocket pose a threat to you?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Walking around a DIY store, you must feel like you're under fucking attack. The screwdrivers, they're there on the shelves. They're in those plastic packing. At any point, it could leap off the shelf and into my throat.
Yeah.
Now, it will not surprise you to learn that some people think he's a racist. And I'm sure you're thinking, Sarah, what? No, not the shooter of 4 black teenagers. Why would they think he's a racist?
Yeah.
Well, it's because he actually made many disparaging remarks about people of colour, which a neighbour reported hearing him say at a community meeting in 1983. This is a full year before the mugging.
Yeah.
And, he made this in public. He said this out loud in front of like all the neighbors in his apartment building.
Right.
Are you ready for the quote? The only way we're gonna clean up this street is to get rid of the slur word for Hispanics and slur word for black people. Sarah can see what those words are in the document, and I am not stupid enough to say them out loud.
No.
Even making a direct quote.
Yeah.
So, imagine what they are. I'll give you 3 guesses. Anyway, this for some reason was excluded from the criminal trial, despite the fact that I think it's pretty fucking relevant.
Yeah.
You'll be thankful to learn that in the later civil trial, Goetz actually admitted to saying that fucking sentence. So, like, mate, I don't think you're exactly not a racist.
Yeah.
Feel comfortable using those words. Especially with an audience of what you must assume is at least 50 to 60 people.
Yeah.
And full on admitting to it. So, January 1985, Goetz is arraigned on 4 charges of attempted murder and the other things that I said before. He's given a ludicrously low bail of $50,000 because, as you well know, you only have to pay 10% of that up front. The rest of it you would have to pay if you didn't turn up for the trial.
Yeah.
So he had to pay $5,000. He's on trial for 4 charges of attempted murder. Also, I'd just like to say, I do not think that the sentencing for attempted murder and murder should be different. Just because you didn't achieve it.
Yeah.
Like, just because you didn't actually succeed doesn't mean you shouldn't still be charged for murder.
Yeah.
Or at least make the sentences the same. So Goetz was held in protective custody for 3 days because he couldn't be allowed into general population, sob,
Oh, no.
until he posts bail. It will not surprise you to learn that the National Rifle Association is one of the groups that offered up bail money for Goetz. But something that may surprise you is the tale of the Guardian Angels. We are back to Curtis Silwa. So, the Guardian Angels collected thousands of dollars from subway riders to give Goetz a legal defense fund. Oh my God, I wish I had a drink. So, some background on the Guardian Angels. They're a volunteer organisation aimed at preventing crime through citizens' arrests, set up by Republican mayoral candidate Curtis Silwa in 1979. And yeah, that does set off an alarm or two because right-wingers love to patrol the streets without formal training or background checks to prevent crime.
Yeah.
Which means they like to scapegoat people who aren't them. So, homeless people, queer people, people of colour, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Indeed, there have been reports of the Guardian Angel tassling protesters at an LGBT rights demo at Stonewall in 2020, and violence against people they believe to be migrants who may have been shoplifting in 2024. And I don't know how to tell you this, but the punishment for shoplifting is not violent assault by random guys who couldn't pass the sanity check who couldn't pass the mental health checks required to be in the police force.
Yeah.
Oh, and Silwa has admitted that the group used to fake saving people on the subway to get publicity back in the 80s.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah.
As of 2025, the group themselves report that they mainly perform wellness checks on the unhoused and emotionally distressed people, and those are situations where the police are often called out and rarely trained for, so I suppose that's kind of good.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Let's just say this. But it does explain why Silwa was always wearing a beret during NYC mayoral race. Because honestly, each time I saw him wearing the beret, I was like, is he trying to look like Che Guevara?
Yeah.
Does he know he looks like Che Guevara?
Yeah.
He's the Republican mayoral candidate, you're saying?
Great.
And it also does explain what he was doing in the news report on Goetz, because when I saw it first, I was like, what the holy fuck? Anyway, we're super glad that Zoran Mandani won the race and that Andrew Cuomo was pushed to the back of the news agenda as he should be for the rest of time.
Beautiful.
Back to Goetz. Later in January 85, he is only indicted on the least serious charge, unlawful gun possession. One count of criminal possession of a weapon in the 3rd degree for carrying in public the loaded unlicensed gun, and 2 counts of possession in the 4th degree for keeping 2 other unlicensed handguns in his home. And that is sort of insane because there is a saying that grand juries would indict a ham sandwich. Like, grand juries very rarely, like, all they aren't saying guilty or not guilty. It's just there's enough evidence to proceed to trial.
Yeah.
They're not making a life or death decision. They're just saying, yeah, that looks like enough evidence.
Yeah.
And honestly, there is some suspicion that the prosecutor has to actually intend to not get the grand jury to indict.
Yeah.
Thankfully, a second grand jury indicted Goetz on attempted murder, assault, reckless endangerment, and weapons possession. And if you're thinking, wow, good. Yeah, I've not finished the sentence yet, Sarah. Judge Stephen Crane dismissed these charges because he felt that Goetz was defending himself and that two of the victims had perjured themselves, which is odd because the two victims that testified at the grand jury had been granted immunity, presumably on the arcade planned theft and maybe even on the potential mugging. So why would they perjure themselves if they've been granted immunity? Why would you perjure yourself if you're granted immunity? Doesn't make sense. Also, I don't think the judge really gets to say, I think this is what happened.
Yeah.
You've not even heard all the evidence yet, mate. Wait for the defence to do their job.
Yeah.
Good God. The New York Supreme Court finally got involved and reinstated the charges in 1986, saying that Judge Crane's perjury finding was speculative and particularly inappropriate. Speculative and particularly inappropriate.
Yeah.
And finally, in April 1987, the trial commenced. Goetz claimed self-defense. The four young men said there was never any danger to Goetz because Candy was just panhandling. They didn't have any weapons out, and they didn't all go over to him and threaten him.
Yeah.
Ramasor, the only one of the four who testified, had his testimony stricken after he said that Goetz would be acquitted regardless of the evidence and refused to answer the defence's questions. Which, hey, I think he might have actually just been right.
Yeah.
I think he might have actually just been right. A witness's testimony was also stricken because the judge, by the way, still fucking Crane, he considers it hearsay that she said that KB had cried out that he hadn't done anything. You know, the guy that was shot twice and, according to at least Canty, had not gone over to Goetz.
Yeah.
And this woman would have to have been on the train at the same time. So if you see a teenager being shot twice and they're going, I didn't even do anything, wouldn't you not be like, well, I saw you doing something? Like, I think that would be an arsehole thing to do right then. But you would say that when asked to testify. So, really seem to be striking out any witnesses for the prosecution, don't we?
Nice.
A police officer, Peter Smith, took the stand and said Canty had admitted that they were planning to rob Goetz. But interestingly, this didn't make it into the report he submitted or the TV interview he gave at the time. So, any particular reason you didn't put that in the report initially? Okay, never mind. Any particular reason you didn't tell the fucking news about it when you gave an interview before the trial? No? Okay, cool.
Okay.
Suffolk County medical examiner Charles Hirsch testified that at least two of the young men were shot in the back. Ballistics expert Joseph Quirk initially claimed that one was only shot in the back because he ducked, and so the bullet went over his head and into his back. And if you're thinking, wow, that sounds like real great evidence, he quickly changed his mind on the stand after being given photographic evidence of the bullet wound in question and told the court that the defense had given him false evidence previously
What the
to
fuck?
study. And that was how he came to the conclusion that he was only shot in the back because he ducked.
Asshole.
I mean, Quirk was just given the wrong information. Quirk was lied to by the defense.
Mm.
And I feel that when you admit that the defense counsel actually lied to you, and so 2 men were shot in the back, I feel that really undercuts the defense's self-defense.
Yeah.
And I bet you're wondering, Sarah, after all that, I bet you're going, well, is the guy still alive in prison, or has he died behind bars? Because it's definitely not self-defense to shoot people in the back.
Nope.
Well, I have the worst news because, racism. The jury, 10 white people and 2 black people, in case you were wondering, found him not guilty of attempted murder and first-degree assault, and it would be hard to say that this was anything more than the result of racist tactics by the defense, because the teens weren't angels. They were on their way to commit a crime. 3 had criminal records, but even if they were going to mug him, the crime of stealing $5 does not carry a criminal penalty of being shot and paralyzed.
No.
By the way, I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to double check this now, but I'm pretty sure the one that was shot twice didn't even have a criminal record.
Oh, damn.
Now, I know that sometimes that means just never caught, but sometimes it means has not committed a crime.
Yeah.
So, Goetz was sentenced to 6 months in jail for criminal possession of a weapon in the 3rd degree for carrying a loaded, unlicensed weapon in a public place. In addition, he had to undergo a year of psychiatric treatment, 200 hours of community service, pay a $5,000 fine, and spend 5 years on probation.
That was
which is extremely light for fucking 4 attempted murders.
Yeah.
Again, 2 of these men were shot in the back, and 1 was shot when he was already on the ground. Now, Goetz appealed this, and thankfully, the New York Court of Appeals rejected the appeal of the conviction. And in funnier news, they said, actually, the minimum sentence for criminal possession of a weapon in the 3rd degree is actually a year in jail. Why on earth were you sentenced to 6 months?
No.
But they sentenced him to a year, which is really funny. And I love when that happens. He only served 8 months, so the criminal justice system is broken.
Yep.
In 1996, KB was able to sue Goetz for paralyzing him, and probably because the jury wasn't solely white Manhattanites, and KB's lawyers were able to bring up the racism and Goetz's use of PCP-laced marijuana. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
KB was awarded $43 million. Now, unfortunately, Goetz filed for bankruptcy because he doesn't have $43 million.
No.
But you'll be grasping at straws now. But the good part is that the debt of the 43 million was not discharged when he declared bankruptcy. So if Goetz wins the lottery before he dies, at least KB gets that money.
Yeah.
And in case you were wondering, yes, this does come back to U.S. Attorney, future NYC mayor, and future laughingstock Rudy Giuliani. Black political and religious leaders called for a federal civil rights investigation over the case and met with Giuliani, but Giuliani refused, saying that Goetz acted out of fear, not racial hatred. Of course, Giuliani then implemented, as New York mayor, the hugely racist stop and frisk program that disproportionately targeted men of colour, and then everything else he's done since. So I'm not really sure I care about his opinion.
Me neither.
And now we are on to what would Penelope Garcia do? Okay,
You're good.
so now we're back and we're going on to what would Penelope Garcia do?
Yep.
First of all, she'd have voted for Zora Mandani.
Yeah.
Sara, do you want to take it away with the UK?
Yeah. So we haven't explained anyway.
Oh, sorry, no. I did hit record, I didn't explain. So what would Penelope Garcia do is the segment where we link people with resources that can help them, highlight a cause, a charity, petitions. This time we decided to go with victim support networks, because obviously quite a lot of the people killed by the unsub had victims of their own.
Yep. So for the UK, there's a website, victimsupport.org.uk. Victim Support is an independent charity dedicated to supporting victims of crime and traumatic incidents in England and in Wales. It provides specialist help for people to cope and move on and to get back on track with their lives. To contact the victim support by phone, you can call the support line on 0808 1689 111. There's also a text relay in which you can use the Relay UK app. And also available on the website is a live chat to talk in real time. And Emma, for the USA?
So I wanted to highlight victimconnect.org. The Victim Connect Resource Centre is a phone, chat and text-based referral helpline. It's operated by the National Centre for Victims of Crime, which is victimsofcrime.org. Services are available for all victims of crime in the United States and its territories. You can call or text directly at 1-855-4-VICTIM, which is, if you want just the numbers, 855-484-2846. You can also chat online via the website, and it's just a great way. It's a national database, so it helps connect you with the local support centre, which will obviously have a better knowledge of local laws. Also, you should write to your representatives because the Trump administration is trying to slash federal funding for victim support.
Asshole.
I know. And now we're going to do the outro.
Yes. That's all for this week. We'll come back next week when we'll be talking about Criminal Minds Season 1, Episode 18, Somebody's Watching.
While you're waiting for the next episode, why not follow us on social media? We're on Instagram at Looking for a Man in His 30s Pod, Tumblr at Looking for a Man in His 30s Pod, or you can email us at lookingformanhinhis30s@gmail.com. All 3 times, 30s is spelled out. Don't put 30 or you might get one of those bots that Instagram clearly thinks we are.
Yeah. And you can also rate and review us on whichever platform you're using to listen to podcasts. And if you'll excuse us for being douchey influencers, if we could even be called that. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell notifications. It really helps more than you know.
Until next time.
This case is closed.